In a time long ago, there lived in the kingdom of Gallowmere a sorcerer named Zerok. This arrogant, pitiless man hated his fellow citizens for their simple and peaceful ways. So he raised an army of demons and set out to take the realm for his own. The king's champion, Sir Daniel Fortescue, led the militia in the battle against this unholy horde. Songs are still sung of how he spearheaded the charge deep into the accursed multitude, how demons fell before him like wheat before the scythe, and how at last, though mortally wounded, he destroyed the sorcerer utterly. Fortescue went down in history that day as the hero of Gallowmere, and a time of peace began, which was to last for 100 years. And then the sorcerer returned.
Now, welcome to MediEvil, a game from from PlayStation 1 era, which means it's from my youth. This is 2020 or 2021 remake, and it came quite easily available because of, well, new PlayStation Plus premium service as downloadable to that. So let's just get started with it. And this is not completely blind. I've played the original MediEvil a lot, and I've done some testing of this just to become familiar. So we already know quite a lot of the basic story. Oh yeah. Dan's memory tells it wasn't quite exactly how the story tells about him.
It has risen again, Sir Daniel Fortescue. See? The hero of Gallowmere who fell at the first charge. The fog of war and the shrouds of time conspire to turn the arrow fodder into the saviour of the day. But we knows better. Let it alone. Fate has given it a second chance. A chance to forget the ignoble truth. A chance to defeat Zarok and live up to the legend. We hopes it does well.
So, evil necromancer Zarok was not killed by Dan in the past or something like that, or maybe he was. But now he's back and he raises up the dead, and Dan Fortescue being dead is among them.
You must be out of shape after 100 years lying on your back. Use the crypt to get to grips with your new lease on life.
And it sounds like they re-recorded Dan's mumblings and Zarok's lines as well, because he speaks with a completely different, more lively, less elderly note than in the original one. But the gargoyles, they speak with the same note as in the original one. I wondered if they just re-record those lines to be as they were.
During your travels through Gallowmere,
did they re-record the lines to serve as them? I was saying that I wonder did they just reuse the sound bites from the original game's files, or did they actually get the voice actor to do them again? How to say? Dan and Zarok do sound like they've got on themselves a new voice work. But generally that's it. Gallowmere was peaceful place, so Dan Fortescue was a bit of a boastful, but you know, place being peaceful, there was nothing like that. Zarok came, King put Dan in lead of the army. Dan attacked. He was leading the charge. He was killed by the arrow to the eye. That's why Dan Fortescue has no eye. So you can't black him from not having courage. Even though he might have been a bit of a just, you know, tall tales and all that, tall tales and nonsense. It's generally name is very evil, sinister sounding, but the game itself is not so evil. It's actually quite fun. So, from Dan's script, where we have been resurrected, time to go to the graveyard, which is the basic tutorial stage of the game. It teaches all the basic mechanics that the game will have in it. And I do say that this is an interesting remake in a sense that the graphics have been completely remade. Levels are completely new. Sound effects seem to be basically sounds are completely new. And there's all these kind of nice little extra details about databases, about enemy databases and all that. But in a sense, there doesn't appear to be any new levels or gameplay turnings, except these books, of course, which
light following you around is
which is the well, there's a little bit of changes because in here there was Earth Room, which is a key item, but it was in a slightly different location in the original one. Just you could say that like something that which was, if originally something was in a corner of the room, it's now in the center of the room, or you could say the opposite. Healing fountains, they exist, hands, take these. And basically only, you could say, noticeable gameplay change that was made is the addition of a secondary weapon that you can just switch on the fly to them, like between sword and throwing daggers. It's quite small thing, but it's a very small change, but it's quite convenient. And of course, Dan Fortescue is still quite a goofy character. And I'd say that the difficulty feels perhaps a bit more about enemies. And these zombies are much more dangerous feeling than they originally were. But they're still just a basic fodder enemies that you're gonna hack them apart. But I wonder why Dan Fortescue retains his personality while these other undead don't retain their basic personality traits or characteristics or weirdnesses, however you wanna call them. But of course, then again, I'm not the game designer of this game. I'm just playing for it for the internet, and nobody watches it. And I'm resentful of the fact, but I can accept it because hey, I just play this game, all right. Yeah, you can find money. And now I got into the chalice, which is a important mechanic in this game, because if you don't spend your time hunting for chalice, or say destroying enemies in appropriate manners, you're gonna find out that you're not gonna get far in this game. This game can become quite challenging. And I did change the controls to the classic style, just because. So let's just take the chalice now. But so it feels kind of, you could say, bizarre remake in sense that yeah, the graphics and all that is completely new, but there's simply no new game. And seeing that there is not so much of changes in writing in this game as in compared to some other remade games, which would in a sense feel that this was necessary. That they don't it doesn't manage to give a new spin for the game. But let's just have a chat with this gargoyle. They are quite funny.
Tread softly. Zarok awaits beyond these gates. The master meets with the demon from the mausoleum, hatching plots of purest evil. Forgotten nobodies would be wise to make themselves scarce.
Oh yeah, and one thing that which they blundered in this game was the fact that they made the gargoyles glow in their heads way too bright. It's actually hurting my eyes because it's so bright that glow inside their heads when their mouth moves. But they do feel otherwise a little bit funny. But that could have been a little bit toned down. Just look at it.
Welcome to the Hall of Heroes, where the bravest warriors from history spend eternity, feasting, singing, and arm wrestling. If they think you're worthy enough, you may be able to persuade them to give you a new weapon.
Well, in that gargoyle's case it wasn't so glaring, but it wasn't so close to the camera. But this is Hall of Heroes. And that one should become us. So let's just have a and this place, well, let's just have a talk with him. The dialogue is completely same.
It's me, Canny Tim. Does the battle go well? How I wish I could fight at your side again, sir. But hold, you could take my crossbow. It's got rapid fire and you can ricochet the darts off walls to shoot around corners. I used it at the Battle of Gallowmere. After you were slain, I shot Zarok's champion, Lord Kardok. A clean kill through the eye at some 1,000 yards. Not that there's anything clever about shooting someone in the eye, sir. Oh, goodbye, sir.
And this process was slightly streamlined about from the original, in which you had to specifically accept their gift to you, which is it's a little convenience that they added. Very small, but but it feels that it might have been done. And of course, when you play the game, the map opens up with the clouds move from the map, opening up locations again, which appears to be a 3D model in this one, as in originally it was just a drawn stage. But the second stage, Cemetery Hill, and this lies little narrative in this game's level progression. Yeah, it loads, blah 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 blah, and a quite little humorous hint. And gaming as medium usually allows this kind of really big and weird camera moves.
So, even from the shackles of death, my old enemy pursues me. You're too late, Fortescue. Already my army has risen from the grave. You will never leave this necropolis.
Yeah, he looks evil. Well, and his design seems to be a bit of strange, because original just appeared to be somebody who, you know, has the evil goatee and all that kind of thing. But this one feels a bit strange. That is his face really like that, or is he wearing some sort of face mask of his face? Yeah, it's of course it's much more technically much more impressive design, the new one, but it doesn't feel as, you could say, and don't really remember originally that that one shot stuff which caused damage to enemies, but in this but in this version, hard to say what, it's just a big bomb. So there's boulders coming down the mountain to a pit of fire. And oops, I going away somewhere, so let's read this place.
The club is a crude but effective weapon.
Oh yeah, about a new weapon. Not all weapons are something that you get from the Hall of Heroes. Some of them are actually found, like club, actually only club. Actually no, there's others, and you can fire things with it, light it on fire, which of course means you can put things on fire with it, which of course includes enemies, which of course gives everybody's latent pyromaniac a completely moment of joy. So let's just get to this cave and have a chat with this gargoyle.
Fresh air. We hate these dark old caves and their filthy stench of old witches. A coven of the warty old hags lived here once. Unholy fires burning all night while they brewed up unspeakable muck in their cauldrons. They moved on years back, but the smell still makes our eyes sting.
Yeah, I think they did re-record gargoyle voices, because that felt a bit faster than the original line in its tempo. But still, putting the undead into fire, because that's how you're gonna handle undead. You burn it, except Dan, of course. He does the burning of the other undead. But Witch's Talisman is necessary, is handy. 100% completion of this game. There is, you could say, it's not something that, well, you quite conveniently get into that just by regular gameplay if you scour through the levels. It really isn't that much of a, you could say, a big difficulty. So let's just try to climb there. And I was pushed into the fire pit. And I was hit. And I broke my shield as well. Yeah. Shields are stuff that you use. They break. And yeah. This in original one, this getting through this part without being mashed by boulders was actually, you could say, real easy. In this one, they managed to ramp up the difficulty a lot.
We have failed the master. We give our lives.
And going here, there's the book which has a hint.
The adventurer would be wise to be thorough in the exploration of an area.
Oh yeah, hints that explore the levels. There's goodies there. So, and of course, let's use the healing fountain to get myself a full stage, because you don't get refill between stages, and there's a limited amount of power in these healing fountains. So the game demands bits of skill to get through. So let's just get to the Hilltop Mausoleum, as the game's story goes to this far. But first I must pay a visit to the Hall of Heroes first.
Back from the battle so soon? It must think it is a hero by now. But only a true hero is worthy of a place in the Hall of Heroes. See the ghostly statue of your fraudster self? When it has turned solid, a true hero you will be.
Oh yeah, well that's true. But it doesn't look that ghostly in this version in compared to the original one. So let's just have a chat with Canitim again.
Hurrah! I knew it would take more than an army of the evil dead to throw your strides out. I've something that may help you on your quest, Captain. I give it to you freely, though I have no idea what it is.
Oh, yeah. This one was a little bit. These have been a little bit streamlined. These encounters. There's no need for you to pick them up or anything like that. But I generally say that this game's loading times and all that don't feel any faster than in the original one, or slower either. They just feel quite much the same. Ah, nice. There's little animations in this map as well. Oh, yep. But it's time to end this first episode of MediEvil Remake and continue next time. See ya!